Hi, we're bringing you an episode of Vantage Point from the Potts Backpackers Home in Brickfields, Kuala Lumpur. Why? Because today we will be discussing about youth tourism. Youth tourism is a booming sector and it represents more than 20% of the global tourism market, and it's only going to be bigger. So today we're going to find out what is driving this growth in this sector and what are some of the traveling trends among the young people. Hi, we are bringing you an episode of Vantage Point from the Potts Backpackers Home in Brickfields, Kuala Lumpur. Why? Because today we will be talking about youth tourism. Youth tourism is a booming market and it represents about more than 20% of the global tourism market just last year. So today we're going to try to understand how are young people setting the traveling trends, and also because with the digital revolution, booking a holiday is much more easier and it's much more affordable. And today we're going to talk about that. I'd like to introduce to my guest today. On my far left is Bernard Ho. He's the founder and group CEO of Youth Works Asia, which identify trends set by youth. Right. And next to him we have Suhaila Osman, who is an Exco member of the Malaysian Youth Hostel Association. So thank you both of you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Maybe I can just kickstart the discussion to talk about how do you define a youth traveler? Because by the definition provided by the World Tourism Organization, it's a person below the age of 30, blah, blah, blah. But age aside, what are the characteristics that sets the youth travelers apart from the average travelers?
Okay, what can I share with you that youth traveler is that we divide it into two groups, which is under one is a group travel, right? Which is there are two components under the group travel. One is a school-based activities, another one is non-school-based activities. The school-based activities is driven by co-curriculum, such as their school societies and everything, which is their plan to go for travel and everything. This particular is, we call it youth
these are the younger
age. And non-based is like something that tour performance troupe, right, and a sports club and youth club itself, which is from non-based activity. But the other one is the most popular one is independent traveler, youth traveler. This independent, we know that is as backpackers. Normally backpackers, we know that they will travel informally, but either they are alone or they will be travel within a small groups. Okay, this is the youth characteristics actually, because these people always want to try something new and they will travel with the closest friends normally.
If we were to understand a bit on the motivation that drives a young person to travel, it's really not so much about going to look at the scenery. It's more about engaging with maybe a culture, a community, and maybe to try to learn a second language, a foreign language, because you have been traveling quite a fair bit as well.
Yeah.
So how do you understand about Malaysian youth traveler?
Okay, basically the excitement they created by through advertisements or through the promotion they read through paper, magazine, whatsoever. But normally as a youth traveler, they have their objective why they want to travel. Some youth will travel because they want to do volunteer work, and at the same time they will enjoy the holidays as well. On top of that, they will acquire a knowledge from whatever the program they be attended, right? And then the other one is just they want to go for leisure. Normally, in general, youth traveler, they would like to go to find some excitement, to learn something new from whatever they've been living in their places.
And this, I will come back to you later, because MYHA is encouraging you to travel and volunteer at the same time.
Yes.
But we'll get back to that later. I'd like to go to Bernard. If you can look at the trends that is happening, digital revolution, we have social media, it's so easy to book a holiday, and we have deals, Groupons, deals, everyday deals, and maybe even AirAsia coming in has made travel so much more easier. You work with youth. How do you understand the trends that are setting in terms of traveling? Because to really tap into this youth tourism market, first we have to understand what is it that they want.
Well, I think there's been a huge shift of the way young people is traveling, and I would like to believe that these trends have very much due to the the shift, or rather the changes in technological perspective, how social media, how apps, you know, how it's so easy, like you say, to book a. These young people that we're tracking now, it brings us to one common point where they're known as generation optimizers. So these are the this young generation of people, whether they are Y or Z, maybe more towards the after Y, like the Zs. They optimize things. They optimize whether is it products that they touch, services that they use, places they go to, people they meet. You know, that is why the adaptability towards you know, paying online. I mean, even when we were 17 or 18 during our time, I mean, not to say that we're that old, but even during our time, it's not, we don't really exposed to that, you know, yes, that paying online and all that. So I think it's the optimization characteristic where, you know, they really optimized it.
What do you mean by optimization? Does it mean that, like what Suhaila said, you want to experience, you want it cheap, you want it convenient at the same time?
Well, I think convenient, cheap experience is all the way thing. It's like all the time, it's always like that. I mean, and I think cheap and experience and is even it applies to, I believe, the older tourists as well, right? Yes. The optimization is, you know, at every one point of time you can shop, experience, see stuff, or even if we were to party the whole night long, yeah, even if it's a matter of sleeping in a hotel room for 2 hours a day, they rather optimize that kind of time.
Yeah, that's why we see like a lot of backpackers hostel bed and breakfast, such as this one and Pots.
Maybe I can say that they try to, as you say, optimize whatever they spend. At least they can get something worth of value from what they're spending. You see, no, regardless is whether it's cheap or it's expensive, but the optimizations, they fully utilize whatever that the time they have, whatever the experience they have, so that when they come back, they have some satisfactions, so that then they can share with others. So then they can start planning for the next activity or next travel.
And when we talk about this, I have to go for the first commercial break, but maybe when we come back, we'll talk about, yes, there is a growing market here, and that means there's more business opportunities happening. Yes. And right now, perhaps we are more of a consumers. Yes. So how do we get young people to actually participate, take a piece of that cake and be involved in the business of tourism? Maybe you can talk about how Malaysia is doing, how we're faring compared to other countries. We'll go for the first commercial break. When we come back, we'll discuss that. Stay with us. Hi, so on Vantage Point, we are on the topic of youth tourism. Youth tourism contributes about more than $173 billion annually into the global tourism market. So it's a huge market and it's booming. So we're talking about what are the trends youth are setting in terms of traveling. I'd like to go to Suhaila first, because earlier we were talking about the different motivations. And young people are more specific purpose. They want to engage. They just want to stay in, let's say, optimization of their experience. So in regards to that, how do you see the trend that will be the trends that they are setting in terms of this market?
Okay, now youth is more on the business minded. What I can say that throughout the government promotions, when we launch a National Youth Day and everything, right, we have a lot of youth. They are talking about business, and especially under the youth tourism, yeah? Because they know that youth tourism can empower youth, and then they can also foster the pride of the country. So from there, they find that there's a business opportunity that they can seize on. So and then they can engage with a lot of NGOs from other country. They have some virtual program to run together. Then from there, they started the business slowly. Because we have a lot of youth now open up travel agents. Sometimes they become a middle person in terms of to other youth as well, on how to travel, where to travel, what they can benefit by joining this kind of program and everything. So they find it things as a business, and some of them making a lot of money from this.
Previously, from my understanding, like a lot of these youth travel attraction places are mostly run by governments, and then you have more bigger private companies. Do you see that there's a shift in?
Yes, I can see that there's a lot of shift because of that. Nowadays, they can source many informations, right? And we can compare that youth nowadays and compare the previous is a very different. Now they are more energetic, they are more resourceful because information is everywhere. It's in the internet, it's in the Facebook, it's in everything, and through the network itself, which is help them. And then that's why the youth tourism, they are promoting not only through the normal advertisements, even through Twitters and everything. So pop just in a single information, they can get everything.
So this is changing the way how travel businesses work, and maybe Bernard can add on to that with the, like you mentioned, mobile applications and tourism. These are huge sectors that is going to be multi-billion-dollar ringgit. And how do you see the young people actually capturing this segment?
I can't say for sure in the other parts of the world, but what I do see here in a very obvious manner is young people are starting to, in fact, I think this phenomenon has been happening like maybe over the last 3 to 4 years, where young people are starting to create stuffs that they need. I'm not too sure whether this is good for in terms of a business economy, because when you're creating stuff for you need is like, when you're creating stuff for you need means you use. But lately there has been a lot of technological startups, and or even they don't have to be a startup. They're just creating stuffs, you know, mobile apps. I personally have seen quite a few that has come up with augmented reality stuffs, you know, that you know you can just point your smartphone, the camera to a certain angle, and then it shows you all the tourist attraction, food places, and all that. But the monetization part, the commercialization part, is always a challenge. So while it's good that, while it's nice or encouraging to see that there are our young people creating stuffs for themselves, hoping to put it to the market. At the same time, I think we have to be wary in the sense of how do we open up. Whether it's in terms of the government's role, in terms of the industry's role, because as how you rightfully mentioned earlier, there are big players. There are big players around, and so how does young people get into it, right? So I think it spells, while it spells a lot of opportunity, we have to be wary of how we are opening up opportunities to the young people.
Ms. Suhaila can add on to that. Do you feel like the youth that you're working with, starting up travel businesses, do they feel like there is a barrier to breaking through?
Of course, there is challenges. Challenges is in terms of to start these things, right? But then knowing that youth is a group of people or a person who always lives to challenges, so that they will take this barrier to motivate them. And then the most important is because the excitement, the result that they were getting in, that's make them so excited. They will move on regardless whatever any challenges they are facing. Of course, there will be like hanky-panky things happen, but for me and for youth as well, they think that this is just something to make it things become sweeter in terms of the experience that they have.
Maybe both of, I think all of us are still within the youth category.
Okay, what I understand that Malaysia classified that youth below 40.
Okay, so we are all safe within the category.
Very much.
I'm still youth, I'm still young.
So you travel quite a fair bit. Maybe we could talk about what sets apart the Malaysian traveller and also the international travellers, because maybe back then for me personally, I used to travel, we go through the tourism agency, but now things are changing quite a bit, and I and my friends would like to go to places which are more remote, we spend more time there. And what about Malaysian traveller?
Okay, Malaysian traveller, you compare to international, definitely there is a difference, because there's a lot of factors factor in, which is in terms of cost, destinations, and the purpose of your travels, right? For international, normally they would like to stay longer, especially when they come to Malaysia or any part of states in Malaysia. I noticed that they will stay longer. Why? Because they want to have more exciting experience, learn about the heritage, the culture, about that places itself, about the people, how they live and everything. But like Malaysia, Malaysia is more on they want to have some experience going to overseas, right? Because they are seeing friends being there, taking a photo, so they want to have the same feel. But it's nowadays I can see that there's some changes, right? They more go on a certain basis whereby they want to do some volunteer works, right? Helping people. They say there's disasters or there's places need help, so they would like to volunteer themselves to go, and at the same time from there they gain experience. But what Bernard shared with me just now, travel at the same time doing work with 70-30. So this kind of youth as well, they go for maybe 70% for the community project or 70% because of the purpose of the program, but at the 30% they have their personal leisure. So that's why it will come together normally.
Okay, I'll have to go for the last commercial break, but when we come back, I'll maybe get you to tell us more about this volunteerism traveling, because we've heard of work and travel, we've heard of educational tourism, but volunteerism, doing good and travel at the same time, it seems like you can really optimize the experience, and we'll get to that after this short break. Stay with us. Hi, you're still in Vantage Point, and we were talking earlier about traveling and volunteering and experiencing culture all at the same time. Suhaila, MYHA is the Malaysian Youth Hostel Association, is actively promoting that. Maybe you could tell us more about this unique experience.
Okay, I have experienced that while I'm having a holiday and also doing the volunteer work. So, because this is something that something new, and something that you never experienced. So as a youth, I want to take this opportunity. I think the youth outside there also take this opportunity. One thing that Malaysian, especially youth traveller, they more on the cost conscious, right? So normally the volunteer work will be sponsored by, funded by a certain organisation and everything. So it's an opportunity for the youth traveller to do a volunteer work at the same time go for holiday, and everything.
Responsive are Malaysian youth towards volunteer tourism? Because for me personally, this is the first time I've heard of it, and it's interesting. But how do you think
it's amazing? It's awesome. I can say that because normally, let's say I need a person, about 100 people volunteer for the program. Currently, let's say now we know in Kuantan we have a problem with the flood and everything. Through MYHA, they say that I want the people to volunteer at the same time. We will cater their foods, their needs and everything, just basic things. I can easily get 100 people to volunteer this, because I believe that for whatever they're doing, they will need to come back to their community. They need to serve the community, because I believe that the youth have their own principle as well, right? The good thing they do, the more good thing they can get it.
Okay. Well, if anybody would want to check it out, go to MYHA's website.
Yes.
Okay. And back to Bernard. How do you see this as a business opportunity? Because you are more from the entrepreneurial side, and it's going to be uptrend worldwide across, but maybe more so in Southeast Asia, because we're famous for our mountains, our beaches, our hiking, eco-friendly, eco-tourism. And we see, even though with the economic uncertainty, young people are traveling more than ever. It's not affecting this segment at all.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, for example, when let's go a bit worldwide a bit. If you look at, if you go to Sipadan or Semporna, you know, and if you do a dive there, right? A lot of young people is getting into diving as well. If you go and do a dive there, you notice that a lot of those dive masters that's actually working there are not really, they're not there because of work. They're there because they took a year sabbatical from their home country in Canada, and they decided to be here. And after this, and if you ask them like, so what are you going to do after this? Oh, I'm going to go to Krabi and be a dive master there for another year. So, and you ask them, what about work? What about education? You know, so, and when they are there, it's not so much of the work commitments or obligations. It's more of like you say, you know, a very strong volunteerism sets in.
Maybe I can add on. Maybe some people doesn't see that this is how the youth tourism contribute to the markets and everything, but actually is a very powerful tool to promote our goodwill about our country and everything. There is like a diplomat a youth diplomat. Right? They are bringing whatever the nature they have. Right? The people will know that, oh, you all come from where? I'm from Malaysia, or from somewhere in the states of Malaysia. So the other youth from other country as well were excited to know, oh, this, please come to here, please come here, anytime we will help. So through these things, right, it's already a promotion to our country, but this is indirect. People didn't realize that. Like what I did when I go to travel a certain country, I like to have a foster family. I make them become a part of the family. So I will normally invite them, please come to Malaysia. What you know about Malaysia? If let's say they like to know about Penang, okay. If they come here, definitely I will bring to Penang for them to experience what is a Penang all about, or what is a Malacca all about, right?
And there's huge tourism dollars coming in. Meaning, of course, with tourists coming in, it's a domino effect. So, how, in regards to that, how do you see we can get more, maybe international tourists to come in?
Okay. Currently, what I can say that normally it goes under the youth exchange programs. Right, and then from this UH program, they take this as opportunity to expand their business and also to explore another market, especially in the youth tourism. So by having this contact with this kind of people, they start to plan, do a business on this, how to travel and everything. And they will charge us a minimal fees because they know that youth really on the cost conscious. But at the same time, you give, give and take. There's a give and take here. I provide this certain course. Maybe you need to come in a certain course, so that it will be happens. So that is where the business will start growing, even in smalls. Because I can say that we have a lot of youth involved in this youth tourism. Now they already open up their travel agents, even though not international level, but they already started within the local domestics, and it's expanding. Now it's expanding, and with the channel given by Ministry of Tourism, right, to promote this, so now they open up.
Okay, maybe final word from Bernard. How do you see we can boost this youth tourism sector in Malaysia? Maybe get more international young tourists coming in.
I think like what Suhaila says, in a very rightful manner, is first we got to empower our own young people, make them youth tourism ambassadors. Allow them to take ownership of the tourism sectors and not just use them as tour guides, or as and when needed for you to open 1 and 2 stalls. To engage our own and empower our own young people. And because when the internationals comes in, or international young tourists comes in, they want to see, or they want to experience they want to experience the country or the culture the way a young person experiences, and not how a 50-year-old would dictate, okay, so this is how you experience my culture, right? Be it in any sense. So I think the very important thing is basically to get young people to be, our own young people to be empowered, let them take ownership, engage them, allow them to optimize it, allow them to optimize the whole experience. And when I still remember during school days, it's always nice when we are always hosting a guy from Japan or a girl from Korea, or our friends from Canada or US. It might not be long, 1-2 weeks, but because of that hosting, the relationship grows. And well, like how many people put it now, it doesn't look like. I think how the trend is going to go on is. Soon enough, people will not be like, oh, I'm a Malaysian, I'm a Canadian or American. I'm a global citizen. You know what I'm saying? I go anywhere I want. I feel at home at anywhere I'm in. And yeah. So I think the whole thing is about starting back with our young people, getting back to basics with this young generation.
I agree with you, Bernard, because the ownership is the most important. When you have that ownership, it's like automatically it's come from your heart. You want to promote things, right? Even the small places also, you will make them feel that they are at their homes. So from there, you will see that how happy they are. Even though it's not something big, even if it's just a small, but the satisfaction, the knowledge or the experience they have that they can buy somewhere. So that is the most important. So the ownership is the key point actually.
But thank you so much, both of you, coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much. Thank you to Pots Backpackers Home for hosting us today, and thank you for watching. If you have any questions, queries, you can catch us on our Facebook, also on our Twitter, or you can email me at cynthia_ng@astro.com. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again on the next episode of Vantage Point. Goodbye.